Today, inshallah, I'm going to be dealing with fasting from the point of view of the three Abrahamic faiths. I'm talking about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And if we have time, maybe I might start with Hinduism and Buddhism, maybe before we venture into the three main Abrahamic faiths. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Fasting is the cessation of, drink and food and coming close to your wife or, your spouse. So fasting is to remove yourself from something to something. Fasting is done on so many different levels, on so many different understanding. There's a lot of people that fast. They, nominal fasting. Some fast once a week, some fast once a month. We have different types of fasting, and it is an institution that started, long before, the earth itself. It is there. It is there from the very beginning. Fasting started from the very beginning. It is part and parcel of our material life, and so therefore, what is happening today that we're seeing, it is not something that was concocted out of the blues. It is something that is part and parcel of our life. And let's quickly look at from the angle of Hinduism. Hinduism, is an Aryan religion that came from the subcontinent of India, and actually it was named after a river. So those who are at the other side of the river, we're calling those who live within the core of that part of the river, river Hindi. They call them Hindu. Eventually, it became the Hindu religion. It is, the name came from a name of a river, and so that is exactly what Hinduism actually is. It is not a religion that is claiming that is divine. No, they don't claim that at all. It is something that they formulated over time, and it's one of the Asian religions that we have in the world today, close to 4,000 years or even more than that, according to some estimation. Hinduism, their fasting ranges from 6 days to 3 months. Some even fast from 6 months to 7 months. It depends, and it also depends on the holistic approach that you approach. Your reason for having that fasting. That is part of. I'm talking about Hinduism, and it is also a choice. There is no clear-cut injunction on how or why or should, or they don't have that dictum of the fasting. It depends on the kind of God that you worship, because they worship over 360 different gods, and the three main gods that they worship is Vishnu, Brahman, and Shiva. So depending on which part of the worship within the core of the Judaism you belongs to, and that spells out the kind of fasting that you have to fast. And if you are someone that depend entirely on the worshiping of a cow, then we have a different type of fasting that you fast. And if you worship an elephant, that's the Ganesh, the human with an elephant head. That's the Ganesh. If that is the one that you devote yourself, or that is your ancestors or your family or your household type of worship, then it contains or have a different type of fasting that you do. That is Hinduism. And if you are part of the Brahman is the head of the worshiping. If you are part of it, actually you don't worship, but you receive the worship from the worshippers, and that is Hinduism. Hinduism is sometimes the kind of fasting is from light fasting to extreme fasting. They have light fasting and extreme fasting. The light fasting is that you could eat certain fruits, you could eat certain seeds, and you could drink certain type of drink that they drink, but you don't eat solid food. Some also eat solid food, but they don't drink certain type of drink. There is the light fasting. And then they have the extreme one. The extreme one is you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't do nothing for 3 days. And most of the time, the holistic people, the pandit, they do faint, and because for 3 days you don't eat. So this is the Asiatic form of fasting in Hinduism, and it is in most cases up to you. to chalk out how you want to fast. They don't have a clear injunction from the Upanishad, Purana Vedas, and the Yuri Vedas. They don't have that clear-cut how to fast like other religions do. And so therefore, in a nutshell, that is how Hinduism fasts. Now, Buddhism is an offshoot of Hinduism, because Buddhism came from a man by the name of Siddhartha Gautama. He used to be a prince, but then again he was moving around in the yard, and he saw a man that is so very poor and wearing a patched cloth. So he decided that why is it that he is rich, he's a prince, he's having a good time, and people are watching over him and riding horses and everything, when others are suffering, they can't even have a food to eat. So he ventured out to look for the truth, the story we get from Buddhism. So Siddhartha Gautama left his house and he went into the bushes to understand why people are suffering. So along the way, he decided that he became so tired. So he sat by a tree called Buddh. The Buddh tree, he sat by it and to refresh himself. As he was sitting, he realized that since he left the house, it is a form of fasting. He is removing himself away from the luxury that he used to enjoy to find the answer for why people are suffering. So in itself, the followers of Buddhism, they call that a kind of fast, because you're leaving something for something. So you are fasting in a way. So Siddhartha Gautama was sitting at the base of the tree. And so he didn't eat for quite a long time. He even forgot what he's eating. And eventually he became so hungry and thin. Then he realized that he was going in and out of consciousness. Sometimes in some of the books that we read, they said he could even touch his ribs. It's easy to even touch his ribs because he's so thin. And so he realized that if he doesn't eat, he's gonna die. So a lady was passing by. She got a milk and she handed it to him. And Siddhartha Gautama took the milk and he drank. Then he had some energy, and then he walked on and he began to move and he began to move. And so he began to come out with some ideas on his own, and he never taught them that this is a religion. He was just a teacher out there to look for guidance. He's looking for guidance. And then as he was by the base of the tree, enlightenment came to him, and that is called Buddha, the one that was sitting at the base of Buddha and received enlightenment, and that is how he began. So later, after he left the earth, those who follow his teaching, they begin to add and add and add and add and add some more stuff to make it look like a religion by itself. But Siddhartha Gautama, or Buddha, never thought for once that he's going to create a religion. Books that we read from the ancient scrolls, it didn't mention him creating a religion. It is after him that people were started to write something about religion, and they call that Buddhism. And also, they are the ones, the monks who live, in the temples, serving the community. They're the ones that started to chalk down how to fast, what to eat, what not to eat, when to eat, and stuff like that. But the ultimate fasting, according to them, is Buddha himself, because Buddha resigned from something, looking for something, and he got that something, and that something is enlightenment. So to them, fasting is something that you can, you could just make up your mind and decide what kind of fasting you're going to fast. Because again, just like Hinduism, they don't have a clear-cut injunction on how to fast. So what they have today was written down by various Buddhist temples, monks, and that also differ from country to country. In Sri Lanka, in most of the eastern part of the sub-Indian continent, mostly they have different type of fasting, because some community don't even know that this community is fasting such way. This is Buddhism, and so therefore this is how they formulate their fasting. And but they do fast to some degree. They do fast, but they don't have a code of law that govern the fast mode, and that is Buddhism.